Jody Williams.
Sir, what is going on? How you doing this Monday morning?
Doing okay, man. I'm back training hard. I'm back in the gym. Everything seems to have normalized. Life's okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And to all my fellow Americans out there, happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day to all my American friends.
Yes.
Doesn't mean anything in Canada.
It's funny because my wife kind of made a comment about that. She's like, kind of like, does Canadians celebrate that? It's like, nah, they really don't.
We have
their Thanksgiving's in October, things like that.
Yeah.
So
we had Victoria Day a week ago.
Now, is that your guys' version of July 4th?
No, it's not. We still have July the 1st is Canada Day. So
gotcha.
We have holidays that are close, and some of them are the same.
Mm-hmm.
But they're always close.
Well,
Carolyn,
good.
How are you doing? I see she's in the chat already.
Yes, ma'am. First things first, before we get started, lots to talk about. Everybody, welcome to the show. And as always, do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel.
You know what Carolyn just said? And this is the perfect segue to something I wanted to touch on. Is she said, I just told Pradeep you scheduled live for this time all morning. He didn't understand it. Hate it when people don't pay attention. So I take it that means Pradeep's got a live show. But ironically, and Pradeep's been on our show. He knows that we have a live show.
Right.
Ironically enough, I want to talk about Pradeep a little bit.
And he's live right now, right?
He's live right now.
Pradeep.
Now, I'm having a small issue.
Okay.
And my small issue is the comments that comes out of his mouth sometimes are comments like someone beat someone easily, or they got dominated, or something like that. Now, I can understand that not being a competitor, that he may not get how much force it takes to make somebody look dominant in a match.
Right.
It could be a couple of pounds. It could be a few millimeters in a setup. If you're doing a bench press and you can bench press 225 pounds comfortably, you might throw 2 more pounds on there and you can't do it at all. So you could go looking like you're dominating that weight to not lifting it at all, and it's owning you.
Yeah.
Now, I say this because he's made comments about my matches. He's made comments about other matches. The one time I agree is maybe Matt versus why am I drawing a blank here? Hey?
Was it Matt versus Tim?
Not Matt versus Tim. Matt versus the last guy he pulled there.
Oh, just recently at the East vs. West.
Yeah. Why can't I remember that guy's name?
We know what we're talking about because I got so many names right now in upcoming matches that I'm drawing like too. But yeah, we understand.
But the last one was Lachlan versus Salayev.
Yes.
And he said that Salayev beat Lachlan easily. There was nothing easy about that match. When he got the pin, he was also extremely close to extending.
Mm-hmm.
He was way down there. I don't think there's anything easy about that pin.
You have to redline Jamir to pin Vitaly. And before we go any further, we got to say hi to the peeps. Street Level Arm Wrestling, good morning. Brandon, yes. Over the Top TV, The Machine, everybody's in the house. Good morning, everybody. If you actually watch that match, announced for first place in the 95+ kilo class, and you had the red line to beat him. Now, I was really interested because of the fact that we haven't heard anything from Vitaly. I don't know what he could and couldn't do. I think, Ryan, you and I touched based upon that because we're talking about how now with these big matches of the King of the Table and the East vs. West, and all of a sudden now how the guys are shuffled. The only person that's prominent is Levon, and rightfully so, but everybody else kind of shuffles after these big super matches. And I always sat there and go ahead.
Isn't it interesting, though, that the guy that hasn't shuffled at all or moved is the guy that hasn't done anything?
Right. And I was really interested to see how Vitaly would do. And I don't know if it was Russ. I mean, he still took second. So it's not like he went 2 and out or he took like 5th or 6th. He still took second, but nonetheless, you know, he didn't take first. So now all of a sudden everyone's going, okay, now where do we put, Vitaly at now?
Who knows? Maybe Salayev is the next big thing too, but you can't prematurely push those guys, as we've seen in cases like Derek Smith, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be brought along. Unfortunately, those three guys, Lachlan, Salayev, and Trubin, are all going to be stuck. They're going to be stuck facing each other and other countrymen for quite a while because they aren't going to be leaving Russia anytime soon.
No. And thank you, Corey Peterson. It was Morozov that Derek pulled. Or no, I'm sorry, that Matt pulled.
Well, I was thinking about Prudnik actually on the other way, but I mean, I don't really count Matt's left as being on that level. So when I'm thinking about kind of being dominated, I think about the ease at which Prudnik, and you could argue that Matt didn't get his set up, but I mean, he kind of made it look simple. If Salayev would have held Lachlan at center like Prudnik did, then I'd say, yeah, that was an easy win, a dominant win. But he was so close to actually extending that arm again. And it was a tournament. It wasn't a super match.
Dominant would be when Brzezinski pulled Zolioff at the East versus West.
Yeah.
Because no matter what John did, or no matter what Zolioff did, you can tell in his facial reaction, his body language, that no matter what he threw at John had an answer for everything. That, to me, would be domination, in my opinion.
So what do you think of Mr. Trubin getting third?
Hey, I'm glad he resurfaced. Who was our guy that pretty much that kind of gave me all the shit because
Timmy Turner? Was it Timmy Turner?
It might be. He gave me all the runaround because I said Trubin, as he got heavier, he wasn't as dominant, and he kind of gave me the business. But the thing is, though, is that where's he been this last couple years? He's been here and there, which is fine. I expect him to be on one of these East versus West cards. Haven't seen it yet, or I expect him to be on one of these King of the Table Larry Wheels cards. Haven't seen him yet. But is he also Russian too?
I believe so. I mean, if he's not, what's he doing there?
Right. So, I feel bad for guys like him and Vitaly because it's like going, okay, because of your situation with your country and everything, you probably can't leave. And, you're kind of stuck there. So it's like.
Well, but they throw in a $10,000 super match or a tournament, 10 grand for first place, which I don't know what that is, if it's Russian money or whatever, but and it's basically a national championship now.
Yeah. And your job is to say, if I'm Vitaly and I want to keep my name relevant, I have to win that thing, no questions asked. Because imagine him sitting at home watching these events, watching these super matches, and these guys take place, and he's just sitting there going, I can't do anything. My hands are tied,
Yeah.
You have to win that.
You want to move on from that subject? I mean, it was Salayev made an impressive win, but the fact of the matter is we're not going to see where he's really at for a long time.
Yes, I do want to move on because I was very proud this weekend. And in guys and girls in the chat, I want you guys' opinion. There's been talk in the last X amount of years with Australian pullers. Where exactly do they stand? With the pandemic that was going on, they really couldn't leave their country. If they did, it was like, okay. Now, the talk was always about, hey, how good is Ryan Bowen? We'll put him against RVJ and see what happens. And it's been like nothing. So that's still in question. How good is Lachlan Adair? Well, he came over, pulled Todd Hutchins, went home 3-0. So now all of us have this theory that, okay, Lachlan's not as good as he say he is. Okay. This past weekend happens in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he comes over here once again, and he beat Austin Jaggers. He's no, slouch by any stretch of the imagination. Beat him 3-1. Cool, And if that wasn't enough, and I was right-handed, if that wasn't enough, then he pulls Pablo And we all know Pablo's like the man left-handed. Beats him 3-0. So any doubters out there who were, skeptic about all the Australian pullers, at least Lachlan Adair can stick a feather in his hat and goes, hey, you know what? Don't count me out yet because look what I just did. So I was extremely impressed and I was excited for him because I think he's one of those guys that some way, somehow, that will catapult him in one of these big matches on one of these big-time organizations coming up.
He looked really good. And Austin, let's not forget, he's the Arnold Classic champ. So, yeah, you know what? I echo everything you say there. Lachlan looked really good. Maybe he needs another match quickly. Good on him for coming over here and doing something. I mean, I think Ryan has the ability to do that too, but for whatever reason has not. But he is apparently pulling in one of the East versus West pretty soon.
There was speculation or rumors that Coach Ray is going to pull Bowen.
Yeah, I don't like that match, man. I don't like it.
How so?
I think Ray, for all of his knowledge, I don't think he's going to beat Ryan Bowen. I don't think it's going to be close.
It's interesting. First of all, I would imagine it's right hand because I don't think Ryan does anything with the left hand. And Coach Ray's dominant hand is left. So I can kind of agree with you on that. I wouldn't count him out. I wouldn't. But just seeing what Lachlan did, I was like, now we can start matching him up with some of the guys, Do we match him up with a Chance Shaw? Do we match him up with a Derek Smith? Because now we see Chance was going to the top and he took a couple bumps. Now he's getting knocked down. We saw Derek Smith, hey, King of California, hey, beat Breslin, hey, East versus West, got knocked down. Now he just says that we're not doing the Dave Chafee match. Okay, now where does Derek go from there? Hey, insert Lachlan Adair. I would love to see that matchup because now we got two guys going like this. Where do you guys really stand? That's more of a, okay, whoever gets that win is going to catapult themselves back up into the talks of conversations, I think.
Yeah, I agree. But, I mean, why not also entertain the Derek Smith versus Chance Shaw match?
I still want to. These guys need to,
one of them will move up. One of them will stay where they are.
But that's the thing. I mean, this sport can be fickle at times with the pullers because you got to realize that no one's going to be undefeated in this sport if you pull long enough, right? Let's be real. I'm going to take my losses. You're going to take your losses. People in the chat are going to take their losses. That's what the sport's all about. How you bounce back is what it counts. So if you're worried about taking losses, this is the wrong sport for you.
Yeah.
Period. So the theory that Chance said, I remember him saying this, that we're on the couch at Airbnb, and he was like, I'd rather have all of us meet at the top. Okay, so who are you going to pull to get to that top? And Chance struck the first shot. I'm going to pull Brzezinski. I'm going to pull Hutchings and all that kind of stuff. Well, it didn't work out for him. So maybe he bit off more than he can chew. Fine, no big deal.
That's not how it works. You don't just have to, even you look at every other sport. Eventually, the two young lions face off to see who goes against the old lion. It's just not a feeding frenzy of these young guys taking out the old guys till they get to the top. Even if they are successful, that's not how it's going to go down. At some point, they're going to have to face each other before they get to the apex. That's just the way it is.
Right.
I mean, who's going to knock it off? Let's say Derek and Chance both are killers, and they both get to be tied for number 2 in the world. Is one of them going to face Levon before they face each other? No. They're going to have to face each other before they get to that peak. Why would Levon just say, I'll pull them both when he can make them eliminate one of them?
Right. Yes, Fox 8 Ball, good evening. How's everybody doing? Joe Nilo says, Nilo, hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Who has Derek pulled in the USA? Derek's last meaningful match in the USA was Tim Breslin, and he beat him, pretty convincingly, So there's that. But then automatically what kind of threw it out the water is that, okay, Derek beat Tim. Cool. Derek's up here now. He wanted to challenge Chafee. And then Tim goes back and smacks Matt Mask. And then does that bring some of the credibility down? No, Derek still won. But then Derek gets annihilated. Sorry, loses 3-0 or whatever it was.
That's a match I can say was not close.
Right. Now, here's what I want to say, because in no way, shape, or form I'm trying to, degrade these guys, but I'm glad these guys go up there and challenge themselves, because then they can get a picture perfect of what they're trying to do and kind of go, okay, maybe I'm not ready for this. Hell, I'm in the same boat right about now. In about 2 weeks, guess who I get to go against? At my own event, I get to go against one Robbie Topi. And hell, I've been told maybe you bit off more than you can chew. Or, hey, Jody, maybe you might have a slight chance if the match was right-handed, not left. Or, and I get what they're saying, and I respect what they're saying too, but I need to know for myself, hey, let's do this. There ain't going to be no trash talking with me or Robbie. I love the man too much, but, I do want to challenge myself to see what I can do, and yeah. So I got to see where some of the guys are saying when they say, hey, you know what? I want to challenge this guy. Other people get pissed off. Well, now you bring in Corey West, right? So lately it's been like, now he's the guy in charge of the three now, because what has he done lately? Granted, Ryan Espy was probably not at his healthiest, but he still got the win. He took out Krasimir, right? So ever since Corey's lost to Todzilla, he's been going like that. And by the way, on the same card as Levon and Devin and King of the Table 4, guess who he drew? One, Alex Kordeka, and you, my friend, my co-host, my partner in crime on this show, knows full well what Alex can do.
Oh boy. Well, what arm are they pulling?
I'm assuming right.
Man, I don't know if I'd assume that or not.
I just know it says it on there on the flyer. I don't know if it says right or left, but it's on there. So when I saw that, I'm thinking, all right, but here we go. Yes, Mr. Street Level Arm Wrestling. Exactly right. You need to test yourself, because before that, I think Corey has a big matchup with some guy named Berzik. No, John
Bresnik. Jim Bresnik.
Yeah, something like that. Berzink. Yeah, Junior. Yeah. So hell, Corey's, lining himself up. And I like this. And here's the thing. I know some people don't like everybody making all these super matches, but I think what it is that the pandemic did a lot to us as far as our sport. We're doing so much now. It's almost like we're trying to catch up for lost time. Totally fine with that. And by the way, everybody and their mom was all a part of UAWL. So now that they're kind of stagnant right now, or they took a sabbatical, then there's my wrestling term. It took a sabbatical, right? So now all of a sudden it's like, okay, dude, why not? This is what we want to see. Corey West, challenge yourself. He's doing that.
Hats off. I want to touch on something very fast.
Okay.
Eric C. asked me about the Alex match, talking about travel and all that stuff. Eric, I'm not beating that horse anymore, but I mean, let's just say I would like a redo of a few of the matches I've had recently. And I'm not going to be taking any matches unless I feel like I'm 100%. So, if you see me on my deathbed sick and I got a match 2 weeks later, I'm backing out of that match. So
yeah,
you can bet your ass I'm not taking any more chances or taking anything for granted anymore. The Corey West thing, man, I didn't even have a prediction for that. If it's either arm, it could go either way. I will say that with a hand-heavy guy like Alex, as far as he needs to be able to top roll his opponents.
Yeah.
I don't know that he'll be able to do that to Corey. Outside the strap, yes. Inside the strap, much, much different situation.
Oh, yeah. And that may be the telling of all that, and you know, I'm still trying to wrap my head around, damn, Corey, because I'm kind of like going, damn, this is big for him. Because what if, let's play the what if game for a second, guys and girls. What if Devin doesn't get the job done? Who is our saving grace? Who is the next person in line?
Yeah.
John is too small to pull LeVon.
Yeah.
Todd is too small to pull LeVon.
Corey West is not too small to pull LeVon.
I mean, I guess you could throw Jerry Caderet, but until he puts his arm on the table against somebody, he's just kind of there. You know, I'm sorry. I mean, I love the guy to death, but, you know, until you pull your arm, he's just there.
And here's an example of Corey West and Alex Kurdecha. Both relatively young guys. Alex is still in his 20s. They're willing to pull each other to sort this shit out. They're not just sitting there waiting for the top guys to say yes.
Right.
That's how it should be done. And you're only hurting yourself if you say you're only pulling up or you have this grand plan. Because the second you get derailed, I mean, your stock goes down. If you're a top tier heavyweight in North America, what's your willingness going to be to pull a guy coming off of a bad loss?
Right.
Especially when they're talking about, you know, maybe 2 weeks later, they looked at you a certain kind of way that you weren't a guy that they were willing to arm wrestle. But now that they've taken a loss or two, hey, why not?
Well, and here's the thing. Everybody jumped on Corey's case. And thanks, Joe, because Joe says Jerry's pulling Gennady, which is good. And I'm glad you brought that up, Joe, because now we get to see. But as of right now, you know, May 30th, Jerry hasn't pulled nobody. That's why I said that. So I didn't want to take away from what Joe was saying. But yeah, you look at it like this. Corey got so much flack, you know, because he thought, well, why is Derek leapfrogging me after Tim Breslin's win? And at the point, Corey was beating the guys that Derek leapfrogged. I talked to Corey. He had an honest, you know, legit gripe about that. Now, this is where people kind of took a lot of stuff out of context, you know, because you also got to realize that Derek was not in charge of the rankings. Derek was just, it was a casualty decision. He beat Tim. Hey, I beat Tim. I beat him for a spot and I won. There you go. Why am I getting all the flack? So this wasn't Derek's fault either. But now, and Derek said, no, I don't want to pull you. I want to shoot for the stars. Everybody does at some point, right? Totally get that. But now all of a sudden how the tides have turned, because ever since that Breslin match, you know, Derek, I think he dabbled in like another tournament left hand or whatever. I think it was the Vegas tournament left hand. But it was like, we're still waiting on him. Meanwhile, Corey's taking match, that kind of stuff. And his stock is rising now. And now, boom, you get to be king of the table 4. And if he happens to pull this off, now it's like, okay, I don't fucking want the Derek match anymore. It doesn't matter because, Nick, I'm pulling much bigger name guys on a big stage. And if I get that W, now does Corey look at it like, okay, what if the roles are reversed now? And Derek goes, hey, I want to pull Corey now. And Corey's like, well, dude, I offered you a match. You said no, you want to shoot for the stars. I'm actually riding that rocket to the star. Now you want to pull me now. Does that even happen?
I doubt it. No, Dan Woodley in the comments said Inga needs to host East versus West in North America. I think that is an unfair expectation that Engen would host an East versus West in North America. I think an American promoter needs to host an East versus West in North America.
I think Jeff Frank needs to reopen that Red Deer thing.
Yeah, I mean, could Jeff have pulled that off? That's the question.
Yeah,
because there was 100 people coming to compete in super matches.
Right.
That bill would have come in and been a tall order. You don't build it and then the sponsors come. You better have the sponsors first.
Right.
And the money's over there. So, I mean, we should be thankful that Engen has the means to pull off these mega cards. But there's no way Engen's going to try to run that North America because I just don't think it's possible. I don't think the following is there.
Our best hope for North America, but it wouldn't be dabbled East versus West. It's Paul Italia.
Yeah. Joe Nello says Derek and Corey will meet later on. I think it's more fun to watch them rise separately. What the hell are you talking about, Joe Nello? Derek Smith has been arm wrestling for 15 years. He's not, there's no more slow rise for him.
Yeah. He's been to WAF Worlds. Hell, I think he went to Brazil in 2012 I think so. Yeah. He's been around the block. It's just, he's just now coming out of his shell on a world stage, if you may.
Yeah. With, I like Derek. He's a nice guy, but he's got to just pull and pull and pull and find his stride. Like you can't ride the success of one notable win forever. You got to stack him up a little bit. So, and you know what? If he pulls 20 times in 2022 for the rest of 2022, he loses half of the time, but gets some good wins. People are going to remember the good wins.
Here's the thing. What's your thoughts on that? Because those guys have been, because now Chance has been kind of quiet. Now he's been taking L's, so he's been kind of quiet. And like I said, maybe Chance is doing one of those things where it's like, okay, let me just take a step back and kind of reevaluate everything. What's your thoughts on the way Derek is handling this situation? Because now he's pulling once every so often,
He's still young enough that he should be putting himself to the test a little bit more frequently, in my opinion. But I mean, right. Derek's got to do his journey, and that's okay with me. Whatever he does, I'm not going to be super offended by it.
Right.
Chance has painted himself into a bit of a corner here where, he put all of his eggs in the basket of arm wrestling, and it's going to be a tough one to sort out. It's why is John Berzink, Richard points this out, why is John Berzink more active than Derek Smith and Chance Shaw?
Combined.
Why is that happening? Why is the old man going around killing guys around the planet?
I mean, think about it.
Taking L challengers.
As much as we talk about Corey West, which we should, Chance Shaw and Derek Smith, and guys, I don't want to sit there and crap on those guys. I'm not going to. But as much conversation we talk about those guys, how about the guys who have been doing it on and off, who are doing this? We all know at some point it's going to be John Berzink. It's going to be Todzilla. Those guys have been putting in the work. They've been carrying North America, carrying us.
And they're the guys that are winning. They're the North Americans that are managing to still get wins.
They've been – England's been putting some killers out there to try to annihilate the West. And when the smoke clears, John's coming out victorious. Todd's coming out victorious. Some way, somehow, some of the other guys have gone there and took an L. That's why I was excited when I saw Paul Lynn get a victory. Because now it's like, okay, watch his rocket now. It's going to start to skyrocket. When you want to see guys like RVJ and something like that. And we haven't seen RVJ since the, Arm Wars reality check. And that was September of last year. He didn't do too well. And granted, the travel wasn't the best thing for him. Just like you, Ryan, the travel wasn't the best thing, but at least you pulled since then. Kordeka has pulled since then. Hell, Uncle John was on that card, has pulled since then. And we'll get to Uncle John in a minute, but, and you got to know at some point, how often does someone need to ride the past or, hey, look what I did in Wall X amount of, months ago. Not saying that he's doing that, but it's like you want to see those guys represent North America, and we're just not seeing it. And it could be work. It could be personal. And if that's the case, then so be it. I totally respect and get that too, But
hey, just I'm going to throw you a little bit of a loop here because I don't know if you were aware of this, but in less than a week, Chance is pulling. He is pulling Brendan Lemon Mulvihill.
BLM? Ooh.
Right-handed in Alberta. And left-handed, he's supposed to be against Caleb Freeborn. Right. But if I'm not mistaken, I don't know how Chance's left is at all. Caleb's good, but I don't know how Chance's left is at all. But I heard that he might have pulled out of the. They might have had to replace Caleb. But I mean, the main event is going to be BLM versus Chance.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that's a match Chance should win, and he probably needs to if he's going to continue to get in big paydays.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad he's in Canada too.
Yeah, that'll draw a lot of interest over there, draw a lot of people over there. So that's good, and I'm glad that, you know, hell, he's getting an opportunity. It's all about getting opportunities, folks. I mean, hell, I'm still waiting for the Ryan Espy Cody Merritt match, and that's kind of gone. And
it's gonna be a while now. Cody's got a match with Morozov, which is exciting as hell. Plus, he's already setting up something with Corey West, so Corey's now number 2.
See, and this is good. This is good, healthy stuff. I mean, we're at this point now. So, even like, and let's morph into like arm wars for a second. And we saw Uncle John, and you know, he had the arm wars Savage Search or whatever.
Yeah.
Last week, and even Neil Pickup ended up on the show toward the end and stuff. And what they're looking for and this, that, and the other. I'm thinking, I would love to be on there. And, you know, Neil happened to mention my name. So Lord knows what he has in store for me, you know, if I can make it down there and stuff. Because
he said you're in. He said you're in.
Yeah. So I'll be kind of curious to know what opponent he has. I was talking to a buddy of mine, Daniel York, who's actually in the chat. Good morning, buddy. And he threw out a name, and someone said, hey, you know, Jody, what if you end up pulling, you know, let's just talk about it. How about you and like Beerman Burgoyne? I'm like, well, what hand we talking about? Because I know his left is dominant, as mine is too. And I'm thinking, that'd be, I mean, he's a show. I love the guy because I think he's one of those guys that likes to get in his opponent's head. That ain't gonna work with me though, because I can throw it right back. So it ain't gonna matter to me. That I ain't worried about. But it'd be interesting because his style, you know, is like, oh, okay, you know, I like that. I am not known for my hook, but I have a decent hook. You know, I may not display it as much, but I have a decent hook. That would be a good matchup. I'm not saying, hey, hey, Neil, I want to pull Evan Burgoyne. I'm not saying that, but if it did, I'd have the biggest. I don't want to get kicked off the show. I'm not going to say it, but I'll have the biggest smile on my face, you know, if that ever came about.
I think that you just called out Beerman, to be honest.
Oh, well, I mean, if that's what it is, that's what it is, you know. But I know he has some stuff going on too, as far as matches coming up, I would imagine. So, you know, that'd be kind of cool though. Beer Man versus Chocolate Thunder. Ooh, you know what I mean? Just think about that for a second, you know. That would be awesome.
Speaking of that, I mean, if you guys aren't aware of the Savage Search, go check it out.
Yes. Yes, that would be super duper awesome. But speaking of arm wars, you really can't talk arm wars without talking about our guy, Uncle John, who was also in Oklahoma this past weekend. And he pulled a good friend of mine, Cody Dollar. These are two guys who are like this, yin and yang. We all know John, massive hand. And for those out there in the chat that don't realize, John was about 300 and plus pounds, 2-3 years ago? And, you know, he shrunk down to 200 pounds, maybe just under that now. But guess what? His hand never shrunk. So he has a huge hand for somebody in that weight class. It can cause a lot of problems. So he pulled Cody Dollar. Cody's all inside. John's looking at hand control, top roll somebody, and John took a loss 3-0. And I'm kind of curious to know. I don't know if you put out a video about, you know, his thoughts on the match, but, you know, I was kind of going, okay, you know, if you're not familiar with Cody Dollar, stocky guy, real, you never see him get stretched out. He's tight, he's locked and tight. It's almost like he has a shoestring that goes around his shoulder to his forearm because you never really see him get stretched out. So I saw that, I was like going, damn, you know, and I thought John would have made it closer than it was, but it just seemed like John couldn't get his bearings in. I would love to see them run that back again. I don't know. I mean, that was just my thought, but I think, I don't want people to think that the 3-0 loss does anything to Uncle John, because he's still an awesome puller and stuff. And, and here's the thing, Ryan, I think, and I don't want to, rattle too much about this. I think when some people get into these super matches, not so much the puller, but the people who watch the matches, when someone loses 3-1 or 3-0, then all of a sudden the community thinks that, oh, well, he's not ready for that, or he's not a good arm wrestler. That's not always the case. It's just sometimes it's a matchup situation,
That's right.
So I want everybody out there to understand that,
Yeah. Styles can change everything.
Right.
Anything else you want to shout out about that particular situation? Because
I'm waiting for John to release a video. I know he's going to talk about it, but if he did, I haven't seen it yet.
Sometimes they slow play that stuff a little bit.
But I will say what's confusing about that whole event in Oklahoma, it took place right outside a softball stadium. But what was confusing is that some of the matches you didn't see because it was under some other person's name, right? So the Uncle John match was under a different. There were so many matches. There were matches on Friday, matches on Saturday. So Luke Kent pulled, my God, Eduardo Tiete, I believe.
Yeah.
And, Eduardo looked dominant. But you wouldn't know that match was there because it was under another name that was on the card. So I wish they would like saying, hey, if it's on YouTube, here's the match of so-and-so. And I'm looking, I'm going, why is just the one match on for an hour and 8 minutes? Then you kind of go, oh, okay, because there's another super match after it, but they never put the name in the description. So it was kind of difficult to see who was where and looking for that match. So I thought that was kind of weird, but, nonetheless.
Tiete is a world elite.
Yes. And, I'm props to Luke Kent for stepping to the plate, but his Eduardo's side pressure was just way too much, know?
Yeah.
Way too much. Way too much.
Do we want to touch on our World Arm Wrestling League stuff at all? Because the countdown's on. The countdown's on, Jody.
What have you heard, sir?
My contract expires on June 22nd.
Are we celebrating
there
that?
There is no news. And I got an email back from Jamie saying there is no news. And he'll let me know. Normally, throughout COVID, he said, we're working on some stuff. We'll let you know. Now he says, I got nothing, and I'll let you know.
Here's the thing, man. And I might
be contract.
I might be breaking down a fourth wall here, but, speaking of contracts and signings and things like that, I don't want to get fined. I don't want to get sued or anything. But this guy is currently under a contract that was effective as of March, but nothing was set in stone. Therefore, I still can compete.
Well, I stopped asking for permission.
Right. I mean, here's the thing about contracts. If you're going to go out there and I guess we can use the R word, recruit. If you're going to go out there and recruit these guys to be in the league or show or whatnot, then have the decency to say, hey, have your stuff together first, then we'll go ahead and get things going. Instead of, we'll get you here signing that. Granted, I signed it, so it's not like it's all their fault. I mean, I could have just sat on it. But nonetheless, at the time, nothing was going on. Now, all of a sudden, Neil's like, here's Neil pickup. Dude, you're in. Cool. There was nothing more I'd love to do than be on Arm Wars. For me, and you'll understand this, what I'm saying, is the WrestleMania of arm wrestling, in my opinion. You know exactly what I mean when I say that. So you've been there on a couple occasions. So you know what that is. And I would love to be on a part of that. I just don't want that situation to interfere with whatever contract I got going on, is what I'm trying to say. If it's a go, then tell me it's a go and we'll roll with it. If it's not, then tell me that too. Now, lucky for me, I have a clause in my contract where if things don't go, I can get out of it and I'm good to go. I'm free. So we'll see.
Well, my contract resulted in one thing. I've got Steve Kaplan's autograph. That's it.
And you know what's BS, Ryan? Here's the thing, because here you are. Can you verify how long was your contract or no?
2 years.
Because in Fox A Ball says Jody expect to call in a month or so sooner, maybe. I think. I'm assuming you're talking about Armours, maybe. So here you are, 2-year contract, right? I only saw you in one event. That's it.
Yep.
How are you supposed to market a puller or an athlete that you adore because you had them sign a contract because they came to you? How are you supposed to get them on the market, on the marquee, when you only pull one time?
You don't.
None of that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know, whether, okay, you pulled Jerry Caderet in one of the darkest matches I've ever seen. I don't know what was up with the lighting that day, but the lighting was horrible. It was like somebody had like a 60-watt bulb right on you guys, and everything else was dark. So, I mean, that was weird in itself. I'm trying to I had to blow up the screen. You know that screen you see on YouTube, the little button on the bottom right? I had to blow it up so I could see what the hell was going on. It was like a bunch of guys in shadows pulling. But, okay, you took a loss. Well, how come you can't come redeem yourself? And that's where I thought, with Wall, you kind of started, getting in trouble to where, hey, you can't recycle the same guys over and over and over again, because I'm thinking, all right, you're going to lose this luster. You're going to start losing viewers. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm going to watch it regardless, but it's like I won't be as excited as I would because it's the same guys over and over. How many times do we need to see Jerry and Michael pull? Awesome pullers, but you need better, you need different.
Completely agree.
That's
and I actually signed my contract after the Jerry match. And they didn't outrightly prevent me from competing in some other stuff, but they strongly discouraged it. Now, I didn't even bother asking for permission for the last few times I pulled, because I honestly don't care anymore. It's, communication's been terrible.
Right.
And I think they're done. I really do. But on maybe a brighter note, you want to talk about Devin and Levon at all?
Do we have to? I mean, and yes, Fox said about Armours. He says yes. I'm so excited. Devin Levon. Okay, with all the shenanigans and this, that, and the other. I don't know about you guys in the chat and ladies, but I'm really getting burnt out. Really getting burnt out on this, because it's like, when was John and Devin's match again? Or yeah, when was John? Was that back in February?
Yeah, I think so.
So the minute Devin won that match, it was automatically Devin Levon. Let's get a thing started, and we knew it wasn't going to be till June. And now I'm just getting exhausted. Like, just let the match happen. I can't wait for it. I'm tired of all the BS going on. I'm just over. I don't even look at it anymore. Every time Devin puts a video out, it has to do with Levon. I don't even look at it. And like I said, it's nothing against him. It's like, I'm just so over it. Like, let's go. There's so many things now in Armust that capture my attention that ain't one of them. Sorry. Nothing against Devin, but it's like going, dude, I'm over this stuff, because it's not like Levon talks a whole lot. There's that. So, I mean, you can't it'd be one thing if they're a trash talk each other, but it's a one-sided deal. Devin's doing all the videos about Levon. Levon's like, yeah. I mean, I guess Levon has his handlers, I guess. I'd probably be disrespectful if I even said that, but he has his guys that are kind of doing some of the stuff for him. Levon doesn't even care. He's like, dude, whatever, I just want to pull. Whether it become the contract and the rules, all that kind of stuff, dude, I'm just done with all that, honestly.
Well, Devin is doing a one-sided fight here, where he's trying to build this matchup and talk all this trash, and Levon won't have any participation in it whatsoever. And he's kind of winning the mental battle that way. I think Devin's starting to show some signs of stress that Levon won't engage. And I think it's going to be the exact same thing at the table. When he goes over there, Levon's not going to buy into the stuff. I think he's going to grab him and he's going to smash him. And with Devin announcing yesterday that his weight's 280 or something like that, I was expecting him to be much larger than that this time around.
Right.
But I'm going to switch my pick.
There's something to be said about getting all this weight, playing the size game. And if you want to sit there and like, if I got to pull Levon, I got to be this weight. Okay, fine. But, you know, at some point, what is the risk and all that? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean, you got to be, honestly, you got to wonder. It's like going, okay, you get big and strong, which is good. But then there's that threshold where you get too big. Now you start sacrificing what? Because if you're known as a condition guy and stamina, at some point when you start going 300, you're gonna start sacrificing that.
Joe Nellis says Devin is the king of sandbagging. He could be 305. Well, he doesn't look 305. That's the problem, Joe. Doesn't look like he's 305.
He looks big. That recent picture that was posted, he does look big. I mean, we don't know. I mean, Devin could sit there and go, "Oh, I'm 275," and be, yeah, he could be 3. Who knows? Because Devin's Devin, right? He likes to play the mind game, keeps everybody guessing, which is fine. But the problem is that his opponent is not engaging back into it. So I don't know, probably because he probably doesn't understand it, for one.
He might be oblivious.
So yeah, there's that. So I mean, you know, it'd be no different than if I go over there and I'm pulling Krasimir, he's just trash talking me. I'm thinking, all right, whatever. You know, I don't engage back because I don't know what the fuck they're saying. But you know, it's like, what's going on? You know?
Yeah. Well, I'll still watch it, but the build-up's done. You know?
Yeah. Well, like I said, now you got Aracli and Barbosa on the car. I'm thinking, oh, okay. Now all of a sudden, my ears perked up. Kordeka and Corey West, ears perked up again. I think someone in the chat says, what are your thoughts on that match?
Oh, man. The Corey West Kordeka?
Yeah.
I think I kind of covered it. I think Corey can beat him if he can contain the explosiveness of Alex. That will be the challenge.
Nice.
But we'll find out.
Yes.
Yeah. I couldn't honestly, based on my experiences with both of them, I probably can't pick a winner out of the two.
It's one of those matches where you got to go, okay, I can't wait to see it now. I'd rather see that build up than Devin Levon, actually.
Yeah.
So,
well, the undercard is going to be just as entertaining.
So
I have a feeling. Here's my feeling. This is my gut.
Okay.
That Levon versus Devin is going to look like Devin versus Michael, but Devin will be on the receiving end of the beating.
And here's my thing. If that happens, who do we have left to even take a whack at him?
Well, under PAL rules, there's an argument that Devin's not the best guy in North America.
Right.
You know, if you take out the WAL rules, there is an argument that he might not be the man.
We're going to find out because Devin's pulled 2 matches in the last, 9 months? Almost a year and a half or something like that. Yeah. He's pulled Michael and he's pulled John and he's pulled nobody else.
Yeah. And Levon's done even less.
However, Levon, to his credit, though, since this PAL version of him has been 6-0 everybody. So you kind of got like, okay, he's the exception to the rule in this case because is not only has he been winning, he's been 6-0 everybody.
Yeah.
So
you saw what he did with Dave Chafee. Yeah. Devin doesn't do that with Dave Chafee.
Does Devin do that on the 7x7? If Devin doesn't King's move wall style, does he beat Devin? That's the question. Because we all saw that match. I was excited. I was like, ooh, Devin, Dave. Ooh, shit. I was like, I got popcorn. I had 2 Coors Lights, and I was ready. And when I saw, I was like going, really? So, here's the thing. I don't want to sit there and start, capping on Devin, but when I saw Devin pull Dave and when I, saw Devin and Toddzilla, the build-up for those matches, I'm thinking, now we're going to see some serious power. And it was like a dud because it was like, okay, but I get it. Devin wants the W. That's what it's all about. Get the W, get the money, go home. Totally get that. But I'm thinking, okay, do you really want to test yourself? You're going
Not
to get a
my
test
monkey.
against Levon. So,
Not my monkeys, not my circus says Levon has to finish fast, else it could be a problem, or else could be a problem for him. It depends on your perspective. If Devin legitimately stops him, that's a problem. If Levon just takes his time and can toy with him, not a problem.
all right. Yeah, I mean that's good because it kind of goes back to where the last time Devin pulled somebody as big as him was Saplinkov and he lost 6-0. Now, granted, that was left-handed.
It was left-handed, and Devin was like not today's version of Devin.
Correct.
And he seemed to be like he was 50 pounds lighter. He was being more of a clown than an arm wrestler.
Oh, you mean with the hair extensions and stuff?
Yeah.
And that to me, that was a turnoff. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, are you taking this match seriously? Like, come on, man. It was almost like a slap in the face. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But it ain't going to be no hair extensions this time. So,
yeah. So, I don't know. I'm going to watch it. And when it's over, it needs to be over.
Oh, when it's over, you and I are going to have a serious discussion. Be like, dude, who's next?
Yeah.
Will it be somebody from Europe that has to beat him? Then that person will hold the title. Then somebody from North America will come over and do that. What's it going to take? I don't know.
Yeah. All right, my man. We might have to put a bow on this one.
Let's do it.
And yeah, this has been the Can-Am Connection. I'm sure lots of people will have lots of things to talk about that we've said. I'm in a bit of a mood, so I may have said some controversial things, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, people might go back, oh, Jody was shit-talking Devin. No, I was not shit-talking Devin, you know. Oh, Jody was calling out Evan Beerman. Not necessarily, but I just said it'd be an interesting match. But be that as it may, as far as that goes, I ain't the one making the match. Neil and Pickup is the matchmaker, not me. But like I said, that'd be interesting because I know for a fact I will not be the favorite, which is good because that's no pressure for this guy. So,
right on. We'll be back next week. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe. And of course, in the video description is Jody's channel. Make sure you hit subscribe over there too.
Yes, sir. Ryan, until next week, man, have a good training session and we'll talk soon.
You as well, my friend. We'll have lots to talk about next week after the Chance Shaw BLM match. That's one we got to have our eye on this weekend.
Rest assured. Oh, I will. I'll be watching that footage forwards and backwards and trying to figure out what the hell. So, yes.
Right on.
All right, everybody. Happy Memorial today. Be good to one another.
Carolyn, go research it. You'll be thankful you did. Look at Devin's channel from a year and a half ago. See you, everybody.
Take care.